In this episode, Mike and Lori sit down and share with us their over 25-year successful experience in real estate investing, event venue ownership, owning a winery, doing things traditionally, financially over the last 25 years, and then discovering the infinite banking concept. We had a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy listening. Thank you.
We go in there and look at the property, and I start throwing some numbers together. And I think I landed on what I thought the property was worth. Okay, it's worth what you're willing to pay for it. And I know a little bit about what ground is going for out there, and it's 70 acres. It's a big piece of ground. It's only about a quarter of it, not even that much.
As far as
12% of it. 10% of it's in vines. It's not a lot, but it's not a small place. It's got a big commercial building on it. It's got all these things going on in there, all the equipment it needs. But it needed a lot of work, a lot of elbow grease, maybe years in the vineyard to get it up to shape, right? And we've since then found out a few things that are going to cost us a little bit more, but it's okay. So I kind of sort of thought about the deal, and I thought, how are we going to make this thing happen? What's going to be good for them and what they can get out of it, and what's going to be good for us where I need to be to make this whole thing happen, okay? Because, at the end of the day, I ran the numbers and I showed Lori, I said, listen, if we take the money out of here, if I cash out the 401k, pay the taxes, if we pull all the money out of all our credit cards and all this kind of stuff, I can come up with the money for it, right? Just pay them cash and it's done. But then I wouldn't have money to operate it.
Fix it.
Nothing. It would be I would be just totally dry, right? Mm-hmm. Out to hang. So I thought, that's not going to work. So how are we really going to do this thing? I talked to the realtor and I said, I know where you're at. Where do we really need to be? And he's like, well, Mike. So I threw some numbers out at him. I said, what about this number, right? What about this number? I kind of went high and I kind of went low. And I ended up at a really good number. I'm going to say $1.5 million. Okay. I'm just going to say the numbers because it's going to make sense. Okay. For some folks, that might be a big number. For some folks, it's just small fry, right? Anyways, so that's where we ended up. What I thought the property was really worth, right? So I said, all right, how about this? We're gonna put in $300,000 up front, okay? And then you're gonna finance the rest of it, $1,200,000, right, for 5 years at 4%. All right, and that's kind of what I threw out there. So whatever those numbers kind of turned out to be, and then at year 5, whatever is due at the end, we'll just write you a check for that. Because I think with 4 or 5 years under my belt out there, and with doing weddings and events and things like that, and keeping a lot of my cash available for us to run the business, I'm going to be in a position where I can easily come up with a check for $500,000 or whatever it's going to be, right? So I kind of sort of did that, and it was interesting because the realtor was kind of like, he didn't get it.
Well, there's more than that. Look, it was 1.5, 300 down. They're going to finance 1.2 for 4 at 4% for
right. So anyways, that was kind of sort of what I threw out there.
Okay.
That's what I threw out there. Okay. I didn't get too far into the weeds with. I
got it.
It was a talking point.
Okay.
And it was on paper, right? So he came back, and I don't know how much money they need right now. I don't know what they're looking at. I don't know what's going to happen with the whole thing. So they came back, and I didn't know what they were going to come back with. I thought they were going to laugh at me.
Sure.
Right. But I thought this is going to solve, because here's what's going to end up happening. They're going to end up selling me for $1.5 million. But when it's all said and done, he's going to wind up, he's got it listed for like $2 million. He's going to wind up with $300K over that, right? It's going to spread it out. It's going to kind of sort of mitigate his tax hit.
Right.
I don't know what his finances are like, but that's what it is, right?
There's probably more than one sibling since the parents.
And you and I talked about it. Someone could offer them $1 million cash.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they got the $1 million. They're going to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
And they're going to split that 3 ways. They're going to get a check for $150,000.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's not good, right? So I'm offering them an opportunity to do much, much better.
Right.
It's going to provide me an opportunity to do much, much better. All right. The only thing is we need time. You got time? And the great thing is this thing wasn't making money for him or doing anything anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just sitting there doing nothing. So how can we make this thing happen? Right. And the risk for them is that they get halfway into it and we don't want to do it. Well, now I've fixed this place up. Now his place is worth maybe twice.
Yeah.
I don't know, and they could do a little better on it. So it's a no risk for them, all reward. For us, it's high risk, sorta. It is, but there's not a lot of money risk. It's a time risk for us because I'm willing to do the effort and the time to make that whole thing happen. So it's a win-win kind of deal. So he comes back, and they want 165 for the purchase. And they said, we'll agree on 5% for 5 years. All right. But we want 400 on the front end. Okay. Which is going to make it 125. Right. At 5%. All right. So we go 24 months at 5% on this, which is going to be, I think it's like $64,000 a year. So in 2 years, so this is 2023, 2024, in the summer of 2025, I've got to show up with $64,000 for year one, $64,000 for year two, and then I got to show up with $200,000 of equity.
Okay, so there was a down payment, no payments for the first 2 years.
Correct.
There's 2 annual payments come in the third year.
Right.
Plus another reduction.
That's right. So that's another reduction. Okay. And then so 2026 will be 1 year. I'll pay interest on $1,050,000, right? At 5%.
Yeah.
And we'll owe them another 200 after that year, 2025, the summer of 2020, almost. So then the note will be at, what's that? That's 850, right?
Plus 2 more payments, so right?
Yeah, plus another payment of 5% of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then in 2026, they want 500,000. And in 2027, the last 500,000, something like that. Okay. So, and the great part is this so I've got money in my 401k. All right. And I'm not a growth guy. I'm a dividend investor. Okay. And right now, my dividends easily cover the interest.
Yep.
So the great part of this is I don't have to pull any more money in my 401k right now.
Just the dividends.
Just for 2 years, I'll pull the dividends out, and I've got so right now in my head, I've got the dividends covered easily. Okay. Now you think in 2 years I can come up with an extra $200,000 worth of cash?
I say yes.
Easy, right? So I've got it covered. I got the first 2 years, 3 years covered. Okay.
Nothing but work in front of you, sir, getting that thing in shape.
And we got nothing but work, but I've got the people.
Yeah.
And we also have the ability to generate revenue while we're out there. Mm-hmm. All right. And I can pay for someone to come out here and cut and clean and do all the things we need to do. Right.
You could probably find a wine master too. Or I don't know, brewmaster.
Yeah. So we're in the process of doing that right now. And that's been a little bit of a learning curve too, you know. Anyways, so I get this thing back from the realtor, right? They come back with a counter literally like 2 or 3 hours later, and I'm flabbergasted because, you know, these banks are just taking you.
Yeah.
I went to the guys that we talked to, the farm credit folks that we use. She's talking about 10%, you know, I'm thinking, man, I can't, there's no way, I can do that, So anyway, so this came back, and the great part of it is, and I got this back, and then the realtor, he still really didn't get it. So I was on my computer. I remember I was in the hotel in layover, and I wrote a note and explained it to him. I said, this is what we want to do, and sent him that back, and he finally got it. And the beauty of the thing is that this family is going to realize, they're going to realize right about what their asking price was when it's all said and done. Okay. I'm going to realize the ability to build this business with time without having to kill us financially. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you throw in with the stuff with the life insurance too, I mean, in 5 years, I'll probably have enough cash value in there at some point to try to take care of some of that nut on the back end of that deal.
No question. Two, the tax liability to the sellers was spread out over several years there too.
Yes, absolutely.
So they net in their pocket wind up with more money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the risk is less because if y'all don't perform, then their property's improved.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I don't know if it was a Saturday, I remember you called, you were excited about this. I'm like, oh my gosh, he explained the deal to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I even wrote it down. I mean, I didn't look, but I'm telling you, I wrote down the deal that you explained. It was just nirvana,
and it was nice, and even some of the things even came in after that I didn't think about, So it's great because good business isn't about ripping anybody off.
Nope.
There's no winners. Nope. There's no losers. There's no reason why everybody can't win.
Right.
Okay, if you're just really honest about where you need to be and what you need to do.
It's like the real estate. I mean, not real estate, but Wall Street. I made a note, but didn't say it earlier. Like your dad's in there, and you got to own this stock, and you got to own that, and you're in there for dividends. I mean, besides the dividends, Wall Street is a zero-sum game. For someone to win, someone has to lose. There's no other way about it. Yeah. Period. Yeah. And it's not that way in real life business at the you and me level. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right. And I guess someone could call me up and say, you could have done better doing this and this and this. Nah,
oh sure.
It's not about that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's certain part of it. It's not just a deal for us. It's not just some kind of thing. We're going to be. I mean, I'm investing into the future. My kids, my grandkids, are going to be out there working that vineyard. I mean, seriously, I'm really thinking of this as a big thing. I want this to happen. How can I make this to where you guys are going to win, but yet we're going to win? Because here's what I need. I got money. I don't have time. I need time to run this thing. I need time.
Yeah. And
you don't need the money, and you can give me the time.
Yeah.
I don't think you needed the money. I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter. That's not my part of the thing, right? So.
I love that. And that family, and I know nothing other than what you've shared, that family, that it really fulfills a certain amount of their legacy because their father was their father's vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it remains a vineyard.
Yeah.
It's going to improve and go into another generation with another family.
Yeah.
That's
and the area, the county wants to see it happen,
Sure.
And I think down the road, it's going to be it's already becoming a kind of a big deal down there. We're getting a pretty good following again. And there's a lot of things we need to fix with it, but I guess real estate and business doesn't have to be a win-lose thing,
Now, Lori, he comes up with all these ideas all the time. Not that you don't, but he may mention them to you sooner than later.
Yeah.
What was your response whenever he brings up the idea of the infinite banking concept? Can I ask?
So I was not familiar with it at all. So initially I was pretty skeptical. But the more Mike talked to me, and again, he is passionate about reading and deep diving and doing research and stuff like that. And I definitely benefit from his interest and willingness to do all of that.
Sure.
But again, we had already been burned a couple times in our lives as far as significant downturns in the market where we lost the significant value of our 401ks and pretty much had to start from scratch again. Again, that was the only vehicle we had. So it was that or savings account. I also used to work for a bank, and it's like, woo, 3% interest, And so the more he explained it to me, the more reasonable it all seemed. And again, with the cancellation of our life insurance policies looming and knowing that if some of our kids needed to take over all the businesses that we have in play, they were going to need some funding to carry them over. And so realizing that safety net was now gone, the more Mike explained, the more this just seemed like the absolute perfect vehicle for us and the way that we like to operate. And, I think one of the things Mike didn't mention is, there were times that we would also take out like second mortgages or loans against the property or refinance the property in its entirety to pull cash out of that. But again, sure. Man, very time consuming. And so this just seems like the perfect vehicle. It's our money and we have access to it whenever we want. We don't have to fill out an application, go through another credit check. So there's just so much freedom in that. And once it clicked in place in my mind, it was like, I wish we would have been doing this all along. Can you just imagine where we would be financially?
How long did it take you to get there? I know you love him and trust him,
yes.
Right? And you do benefit from his hard work and research,
yes.
just like he benefits from yours. And then with the banking background, I would assume, maybe it's not safe to assume, but maybe when it comes to the losses on your 401k around 2000, 2001, then again in 2008.
I'm thinking it was more like
was it?
96 was the first one. 97, does that make sense? 95, 96, 97. And when you're first starting out, you got you have 60, 70,000 bucks in your 401k, and then it goes down to 30 or 20 and you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
absolutely.
It's like huge impact, and then of course the numbers get bigger as you go along with the whole thing, And I just want to say one thing, and you guys that can see the video, she's the face of the company. She is like the underlying, force behind, okay, we need to do this. We need to do it like this. She could be the mayor or the governor, not me, because I would really say what I want to say. She would be more professional about it, right?
Sure.
So anyways, she's equally powerful with the whole thing, but with some of these financial concepts, it's been tough for us because we've only had the tools that we've had, So it's the goal is that we get our kids and us as older people set up with our own banking, okay? Because right now I still got to use the bank with some stuff, I mean, we pulled out of that church property. I pulled a couple $100,000 out of a rental house we got because we had to put a new roof on that school building. It was $80,000, and they don't finance that. You just got
a whole city block. That sounds pretty reasonable.
Oh, that was one building.
Well, that was one building.
We've had to put a new roof on every single building.
I think roofing was easy $175,000.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're still kind of sort of using the bank, but I'm back on the whole Robert Kiyosaki thing, which is kind of where I really got my mindset of some outside the box thinking. I've got renter in there. I've got a house that's worth, I don't know, $180,000. We took out $100 to finance some of the things we needed to do. The payment is $1,200 a month. The renter's paying $1,500 a month. Touchdown.
It's just banking with real estate.
It's just banking with real estate. Now I would have rather have, but that's what you do. You do, and you usually got to do. But we've been operating in this area of that's just kind of sort of that's where we're operating. We're just trying to use all the tools we can. But it would be nice if I could fast forward and not have to use the bank at all.
Yep. That's one thing you can't shorten is time, right? I mean,
can't.
So how long, Lori, did it go from, I know you love and trust him and you benefit to the statement that you said a minute ago. It's like, wow, I wish we'd have been doing this.
So Mike loves risk. Like he runs headfirst into it. And I'm pretty conservative. Risk adverse would even be an okay way to describe me. So sometimes when he has some of these ideas, but he knows me and we've been together 35 years, however long it's been. And so he has learned how to approach me with information, right? That's a way presented in a format that I can process well. So it really only took a couple of conversations before I was, and I would come back with questions. Okay, so I've been mulling that over. And so here's three more questions now. And just, again, he was just able to explain in such a precise way for me that it just erased any doubts. And then it was just like, are you kidding? This has been available this entire time. And we've done all these other things. I just can't even imagine if we would have started with this tool. And that's when we started talking to our oldest daughter and her husband, who just relocated from Switzerland, whose plan is to ultimately take over all of our businesses. And so now they're on the fast track with all of this too, because again, they're getting a 30-year head start on where we were when we entered into this game. So we're just so excited, right, to, again, not only be impacting our legacy, but now we're impacting their legacy too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're getting themselves set up with some asset protection strategies, of setting up a trust and things like that, So, because right now we've done so many different things. I think we've spent the last year or two just trying to clean up the mess because, when you're 30, you don't know where you're going to be. So you start this, you kind of, so it's been a bit of an asset, from an asset protection standpoint, a bit of a cleanup for us, but they're getting a head start with all this stuff, because if my projections are right, they're going to have a significant nut to take care of. It's going to create some issues for them. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's nice having money, but you need to be on top of it. It's a huge responsibility,
Creates a whole new set of problems.
It definitely does, I mean, and I'm looking at buying another car, and I'm looking at these Mercedes G-Wagons, I looked at one and, and she's like, what? We can buy a rental house for that much. And go, maybe we'll just buy something else, but anyways, we don't want a lot. We don't need a lot. The other thing is it'd be nice to have the bank set up for the other parts of the family too, because right now we really only have one child, our oldest daughter, who's really participating with things, right? And to date, I'm just going to be straight up. She's going to be really the only one right now who's going to be benefiting from that whole process. It's not that I'm cutting anybody off. It's that they're going to be in the command seat, And I heard someone talk to me about money and about one of these guys I look at on the internet. He says, from a mindset, wealth isn't a title thing, isn't a money thing. It's not how much money you have, it's how much you control, And if you're set right and you have everything put in the proper place, you really don't own anything. You control it, but you don't own it because, none of these properties are in our name. It's all asset protected, this and this and this, So we want to make sure that our kids understand that they're not really going to own anything, but they're going to be in control of a huge cash flow machine, and you got an opportunity to do something good with it or not. You got an opportunity to share with it with your siblings, get them involved in it or not. It's my hope that down the road we can get some of the other siblings involved, because we have got a couple. Our oldest son's really interested in farming and doing that. I'd love for him to. And if he's hearing it, you need to move to Northern Virginia. We got to buy an apple farm and we'll start making cider, something, I mean, let's do something, with it. It's exciting because I want to keep our people going, and keep it together. It's important to have family together, but it'll be nice for them, especially if Lori lives to be like 95.
I'm not an actuary nor an underwriter, but I'm betting she does.
I'm betting she does too.
I'm not even a gambler.
And here's the other thing too. You start looking at all these numbers and things like that. It might not even be something that my daughter and son even realize at some level. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All right. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have enough. They're going to be fine. They'll get whatever. Everybody's going to be good. But some of the larger numbers for the life insurance aren't really going to be coming into play until they're in their 60s. Right? Or later, You know
how that happens, right?
Yeah. It happens one day at a time, and you just don't die. But, you take care of yourself and
sure.
And you do all those things, So, not only do you have to train yourself up to understanding these things, you got to train your kids up to be understanding things, but you need to make sure that their kids understand it and know about it, So it's... And not from a willy-nilly standpoint. You got to really make sure that these guys are really getting it, mm-hmm. and make them at some level participate on it, because they won't catch it. They won't catch it until they're doing it, So
that's some wisdom right there. These life insurance policies, like anything, but life insurance, the further out you go, the better and the bigger the numbers look, right? And they get so big that it's hard to really believe that that's actually going to happen, But then when you look at, your generation, my generation, we didn't know about it. We didn't know about it. So when we do learn about it, then we're forever playing catch up, and we benefit. Sure, I think there's huge benefit to becoming your own banker and controlling some of these things that you were going to do anyway, right? I mean, mm-hmm. There's a real value there that's hard to, you sure can't put it on a life insurance illustration. You sure can't put it on your cash flow statement or your balance sheet that the banker wants. I mean, there's a lot there that you can't quantify with numbers. But the next generation, if they do catch it, and so what, they're in their 60s, late 50s. So what if they're in their early 70s, if they've been living right and healthy and taking care of themselves, 70's a new 50 for real.
Yep.
You're talking about a tremendous amount of money. And then if you have been leading the way and they've been paying attention and everybody's been participating, that's just one element. There's no telling how many other things that are going to occur, the other properties, the apple orchard, the apple cider.
Sure.
And all of that. I mean, can be a big deal. And then, wait a minute. You mean they're not over there living, doing whatever they're doing? They've come home, at least a couple of them have come home and participating in a family, kind of a legacy. What's that worth? Mom, Dad, really, what's that worth?
It's worth all of it.
I'm telling you.
I don't care. I don't need money.
Because otherwise it would just all go away. Us working 7 days a week, nonstop. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're passionate about what we do. We love what we do every day, and that's why we do it every day. But it would be sad if it all just went away. I mean, it was a grand adventure, but it would be sad if it all just was kind of, it ended with us.
Yeah.
So it's just really exciting to have the opportunity to have, someone in your family say, and that's the exact thing, with the family that we bought the vineyard from. It was the parents' dream. It wasn't any of the kids' dreams.
Right.
And so none of them were interested in taking over. And that's just very, very common. And it was, kind of a sad thing. And they'd been living in Switzerland for 6 years. And her husband agreed that they would go ahead. He got his green card. It was 6 months ago, moved back to the U.S., and he's going to become a U.S. citizen. And, now our dream has become their dream too. And that's very unusual
Yeah.
in Switzerland. You start out in a career, you usually do an internship while you're in high school, and then you continue on until you retire.
Working for the weekends.
Yeah. And so entrepreneurialism isn't a real big deal over there. It's a lot of expats that will start the small businesses over there. So, our son-in-law has definitely had some questioning from friends and family members because this is just so unusual of a step. And we're just thrilled. We love him to death, and he's an amazing partner in the business. And so just really exciting. We're hoping that, as some of the other kids get a bit older, they'll maybe want to get involved too. I think, they see how hard mom and dad work. I don't know.
And
maybe not.
There's that generational thing too. It's like we went to the county fair. When Roz was little, we had chickens and all that. So we'd go to the fair and go look at the animals, and they had a little booth there. The USDA guys. And these guys weren't young guys, right? And this is a few years ago. The average farmer in America is like 62 years old. Holy cow. 62? Are you kidding me? Well, you start thinking about it. Okay. North Carolina right now, and this is just me talking to the industry guys. There's several vineyards, wineries for sale in the Carolinas. This is probably like this everywhere else too. I think it's what it is. These 50, 60-year-old guys, they quit their corporate job. They go start something. It's fun. It's cool. It's all that. And now they're trying to sell it because the kids don't want it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work, It's not like, it's not sitting in an office somewhere nice and, you're out there, you're doing stuff and you're thinking and having to risk your money and, it's business, right? So, that's what it is. And so I just think that you can, it's scary because I think there's a lot, we're lucky, we're fortunate. We've got something to do with this. Okay. I couldn't imagine being her and I, no kids. What's the motivation?
Yeah.
Why do it? It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting thought. What do you want to do it? But there's something that motivates you out there. Whether you got kids or not, there's something that you love and there's somewhere that you want to put your money and your time. There's got to be some kind of entity or something you can put this into that's going to benefit somebody down the road, because there's going to be it's a drop in the big pond, and that those waves are it's going to affect somebody down the road, and you're going to change the world somehow, so you got to do it, man. You just don't quit, don't stop, just keep working, keep doing it, just don't stop until God says you're graduating.
Yeah.
Just keep going, keep pushing.
Well, what is the future? Is that what that is y'all's future, isn't it? You're just going to keep going.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows what's in the future? I mean,
we didn't, I had been to my sibling's wedding and a wedding of one friend, and Mike and I had a very small backyard wedding. So I knew nothing about weddings. We bought our farm, and it's a beautiful, beautiful property. And we had some friends from church whose daughter got engaged. And so I heard they wanted an outdoor wedding. I said, oh, they should come get married at our farm. And so they invited 200 people. And so Mike and I were having a bunch of trees felled because we were going to put in an arena to ride our horses. And so the neighbor had a small sawmill. So he milled all the lumber for us, and we built 12-foot farm tables and benches to seat 200 people. And I thought this was a great fun thing for, me and the kids to be involved in. So created uniforms for us. We got little walkie-talkies and all this kind of stuff. And we were the staff. I think Dylan was maybe 7 or 8 at the time, our youngest. And we ran this wedding. I didn't know anything. We did all the decor. We made all of the decor for all the tables and the arbor and everything. And we had so much fun doing it. It was such a bonding family thing. And then a bunch of people that attended the wedding, word got out. And at one point I had 30 weddings on the books for there. And again, the live work situation was really tough. Anytime somebody was coming over, like me yelling at the kids, pick this up, tidy that up. I've got people coming.
Cut the grass.
So that's what prompted us reaching out to some friends that had a beautiful historic barn in the city of Charlotte that was on the historic registry, but it had got badly damaged when Hugo came through. And I looked at this and said, oh yeah, there's no way. And Mike's like, no, I think we could do it. I think we could do it, just a little hard work and a little money. And so the family member that we were in contact with was pretty skeptical, but we said, listen, you guys aren't doing anything with this. It's falling down. Can we come out and restore it as a wedding venue? And they're like, good luck with that. And so we agreed on some lease terms, right, once we got it fixed up. And how long was it? 10 days?
10 days.
Mike will show you a picture of this. And again, now it's ranked one of the top 10 venues in Charlotte. Wow. And it is a genuine historic barn that was built in the early 30s. And it's beautiful. And the fun thing is we just transitioned the whole business out there, and we ran it as a family, for years and years until the kids kind of aged out. And now, darn it, I had to pay outside people, to help support.
No more free labor.
Yeah, I know. We'll work for food. That worked for a long time. Yeah. But the kids helped us flip houses. I mean, they have been an integral part of Mike and I accomplishing what we've accomplished. And they have an amazing skill set and knowledge as a result of what we've done. And it's just really fun that now Margot and Jan are going to come back. But even if some of the other kids don't join up and participate, man, they've got amazing life experience and skills as a result of the things that we've taken on. And so it's truly been a grand adventure.
Yeah. And then, retirement's coming. Age 65 retirement. I got a few years left at the airline. They're thinking about raising that, but who knows? So you never know. I need to find a place that's far away, though, because I need to find a reason to buy an airplane so we can go back and forth. Keep flying a little bit and have some fun with it. But
yeah, the 19 miles, that just doesn't justify.
Doesn't justify an airplane.
I got it. How far does it need to be?
I don't know. I mean,
2 hours.
An hour or two. But it's just a fun laughing talking point for us. But down the road, it'd be nice. I mean, it would be nice to scale some of the businesses. It would be nice to be able to, at some level, like I was thinking about this in the shower. I don't know why, but maybe to do some kind of thing like, what are we really going to do? Maybe we need to be franchising this thing and teaching other people to do it, and helping them finance certain things. And we can just cruise around and be a resource to people, encourage people. We get so many people coming out to our farm. So can I...
Please.
Can I diverge around this thing?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We buy this property. We've got the airline thing. We moved to Carolinas, right? Because it's a great place. It's small. It just seems like a nice little, good conservative spot for us to raise these kids, right? We got 3 kids, right? So we do this whole thing, and through the process, we find the desire to help some kids out. It just seems like we're the house with all the misfit kids, the kids that just don't have anything going on at home, or just at-risk stuff. So we always had a lot of stuff going on with that, So we just really loved having the kids over and this and that. And at some point, we just felt called to kind of help some kids, right? So that led us to being looking at the whole foster care thing, and looking at that. And so we ended up deciding we wanted to be foster parents, right?
No, I decided I wanted to adopt. And
she wanted to adopt, right?
You had to be
a foster
parents
right?
first.
So I was it like a Sunday or a Saturday? We went out for a walk across the street there at the school, and we talked about it, and kind of we decided that we really felt called to some kids. We didn't, she sent me a note. I remember I was on the road, and there was a website you could look for kids that are, looking for homes and things like that. I think it's called Adopt Us Kids or something like that. She says, "Oh, I want you to look at this," and what was it?
I said, look over this and tell me what you think. And he says, "Oh, well, that one little girl is cute. She looks nice." I said, "Oh, did you look at that sibling group of 3 that was also on the site?" And he's like, "What?" So needless to say, we adopted them. We fostered and adopted. So that's why we have 6. So they were 5, 8, and 10 when we adopted them.
So county kids next door, next county over. And you had to go. It took us about a year to get licensed to be foster parents. You have to do that first, So we got through the process, and we just put it out there. And the last question they really ask you is like, okay, so like, what are you guys looking for? What's going to fit? And we pretty much said, well, bring it on. Whatever, Well, we just. What was the statement we said? We were only really able to help or help some kids that we could mature into normal adulthood kind of thing, right? So it would have been difficult for us to have any kids with any special disabilities or things like that. There's just wasn't a fit for us right now, Just with him being gone, 60, 70% of the time. And so me flying solo and having the other 3 kids that were all school age. And so we were just trying to be realists about what we could take on in addition. So we got a call from the I forget who it was. Maybe was it our caseworker? Mm-hmm. And she said, and we were going on a trip too, weren't we? Remember we were leaving on a cruise, and it was like literally we were probably even driving.
Yeah, down.
We were driving down to Florida. We went on one of these little 2-day things down out of Jacksonville, just to get away for the weekend. And we were driving down there, and the phone rings, and this gal says, "Hey, I got this sibling group. It would be perfect fit for you guys. Can you guys bring them in tonight?" Or something like that, right? And we were gone.
They were just saying, they need an immediate answer. And we were like, we can't do that. We can't make a decision this big, and we said, we'll be back in 2 days and can meet up with them and talk about that then. And they were, they didn't want to take no for an answer, but we just didn't feel that, that we would be in the right mindset to make a good decision. So we held firm and called them when we got back to town, and it all worked out.
And then it went from there. Then we adopted them and brought them into the house and all that, But anyways, where I'm going with that whole thing is we had them in, and we were in town there, and they all went to school, and everybody's getting on some really good footing, and then we get the girls are wanting to do a little something different, so we end up Lori grew up in Arizona around horses and cowboys and doing all that stuff. She's quite the horse person. She's quite the rider. She's very professional. She's quite experienced, So they said, let's bring it on. So we leased some horses at a property near us, but the drive in 2-3 days a week out there was getting tough. So we thought, let's look at something else. Let's get another property. So we went looking. It took us about a year, and we found this place. And the story goes is that I had shown Lori this listing several weeks before, right? And I was on a trip, and one of the gals at the stables was a realtor and told Lori about, she knew we were looking, and she said, why don't you go look at this house over out here? And she's like, oh, okay. And so she looks at it, and she calls me up and says, hey, I'm going to be looking at this house out here today. And I said, Lori, I showed you that house 2 months ago. You didn't like it. You didn't think it was like something you liked. And so she goes, no, I think it's really cool. So they played hooky from church. And instead of going, she loaded up. Who'd you load up? It was just me
and Roz.
Her and Roz, the youngest. And they went out there and checked out this property, And it was one of those things, just like the Vineyard. They drove up, and it was like, oh my gosh.
But it was a foreclosure. I mean, it was rough. They had taken all the HVAC, the bathrooms, the kitchen. There was no power, no gutters. So the drives were all trashed. And But yeah, I mean, incredible bones and just beautiful, beautiful setting.
And Lori was just really enamored with the whole thing. So we bought that. And it's another, it's another one of those other things too. We went into that whole thing and it was at a time when nobody was loaning any money, and there was no owner financing. It was a foreclosure, and the bank had it listed for, I don't know, like $550,000, right? So we kind of looked at it and thought about it. Okay, so we made him an offer, wrote him a check for $5,050 or whatever the heck it was, right? Went in there and couldn't find any financing. Had a tough time finding a note for that whole thing. So then it came back in. They did an appraisal, and the appraisal came back, and I think it was horrible.
Well, it was on the money, but they said, however, because this is after all the foreclosures were, and this they were blaming this. No, it wasn't us. It's the inspectors. No, it's not the inspectors. It's the so it was all the finger pointing, right? So nobody. If it wasn't a sure deal, nobody wanted to loan anything. Yep. And so this guy had said, there's nothing like really bad here, but there could be any of these things like buried on the property or whatever, because it was close to 20 acres. And so attached this huge ream of paper about everything and anything that anybody could possibly bury underground. So, of course, the lender said, no, thanks. Not interested.
So we went out of contract, and they kept the money, the earnest deposit, right? So it's like, oh my gosh. So we looked some more, and we kind of sort of had some other things we're gonna look at. And we were out looking one day, about 3 months later, and we get a call from the realtor, and she says, "Hey guys, the property's been relisted with a different realtor." And the price is down. And I said, well, what are they asking? I was on the phone, we'd stopped, pulled over to the side of the road. And she says, they're asking $450. I said, $450? That's what I heard, $450. Okay.
No, $415.
No, $415.
She said
is what she said. She said $415, but I thought she thought she said $450, but I heard $415. So she says, $415. She goes, what do you want to do? Right? And I thought, well, offer him $415, right? She goes, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. So she goes and does it, and we end up getting the contract, $415. Come up later, talking to her, she said, no, I was telling you $450. And then you said $415. I thought you were crazy.
The same property that we had under contract for $550.
So we ended up getting that thing, right? And we got money and flipped it around. And
No. The best part is when we know that there's going to be another appraisal.
Okay. Yeah.
We went in and put in a kitchen and put in bathrooms and laid carpet where carpet had been torn up and fixed drywall. One of the outbuildings had mold growing 4 feet, so we ripped it all out, put in fresh. And again, we did this over the course of like a weekend because it had to be a really fast
We didn't
turnaround.
own the house.
Yeah, stock cabinets from Lowe's, stock appliances from Lowe's, went to Habitat for Humanity, toilets, sinks in the bathrooms, all that kind of stuff.
They won't listen.
And it appraised for more than
That's
obviously
awesome.
what we had under contract.
That's some outside of the box thinking right
Yes,
there.
100%.
So that's just an example of the whole thing. It would have been nice if I had insurance money I could pull, but I didn't. But we had time. We had energy, we had motivation, we had some outside the box thinking. So, you make the whole thing happen, but that's the kind of sort of stuff that builds and builds and builds and builds, over time. That's why we're at where we're at now, is because things like that happen. So, you asked us what the future, if I can extrapolate from the past or interpolate from what's happened and then send that out, I can't imagine what mind-blowing stuff's gonna come up. It's gonna come up.
Yep.
And I want to be ready for it,
What are you doing to get ready for it?
Well, that's a good question.
We're definitely building our team.
We're building our team.
Because we thought it was just the two of us, and a lot of our wedding stuff is seasonal. So you can't support full-time people, right? And so I think it's now with Margot and Jan here, she's really passionate about building the team and feeling like when we have a big enough team, we can continue to find opportunities. We own our own design company. So whenever we do a wedding, we provide all the decor. But as we build the team, we can start offering that at other venues. We do all the day of coordination and staffing, right? So now every venue can take advantage of our services, not just us managing our own venues.
We might be doing weddings, who knows where?
Yeah.
Charleston, anywhere, south, north, all over the place. We've got, I'm keeping my our insurance funded. That's a huge thing. I've got the loans we got to pay off, so that's ready. But the great provision with the fact that it's still building interest, even though we've got the money out. So that's going to continue to grow. I'm gonna, I've talked to you already about our youngest, Dylan, how old's Dylan? 20 now. Mm-hmm. He went in when he was 17 into the Army, so he's getting out. He's going to be working with us too. So we want to kind of sort of start building some cash value that we can get a hold of through him. And I know Jan and Margot are going to start. They're going to have a conversation with you about that. I don't think he's done that yet, has he? I don't think he's called yet. So he wants to start building that part of it too, so that we're all prepared, because that future opportunity may not be something that we really find or push. It might be them that they want to go a little different direction with things, and so we kind of sort of throw the assets into that, But it's just staying healthy is important. Staying active, taking care of each other. We have to do that. Mm-hmm. That's vital. Building the team, like you said, and then just making sure that we're in a position where we can capitalize. It's a big word for you, capitalize.
This concept just fits exactly into the type of people that y'all are. You're entrepreneurs. You're active. You're doing things. And it all takes capital. And where you build your wealth, where you build your capital makes a difference. If it's tied up in the equity of real estate or qualified plans or whatever, it makes a difference. So I'm excited for y'all. I've seen everything that you've shared with me on paper, and you're getting it done, just like I said earlier.
Yeah, trying to keep it going.
I'm excited for y'all. Seriously. I can't wait to see what your whole team puts together.
Yeah.
So, all right, look, we've gone for about almost 2 hours.
Wow.
So time flies when you're having fun.
That's right.
Oh.
So do you have anything any parting words of wisdom or any closing remarks that you want to share, leave us with? Probably going to make this a two-parter. It went so long.
Is that right? So, I came to you with a definite, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys thinking, there's a lot of guys, I'm not alone. You and we're not alone out here. We're not the only 60-year-old dudes out there thinking, all right, what are we going to do now? What am I going to do with this money? What's going to happen? And so, we all have, I encourage people to stop and really think about what, the why. It's a big thing now. The why. The why for me was, I've got these 3 problems I've got to solve. I've got to solve for the life insurance, because we still have we still bring value. Got to solve for the cash. Where am I going to put my money? I refuse to have money in the bank as little as possible. Putting it in the life insurance, it's easily accessible, right? It's not an investment.
All right.
It's a place to put. It's a safe place for our stuff. And then the last thing is, it's, if you really look at how we're taking care of ourselves down the road, there's going to be some money in there for us in case we have some contingencies, in case I get sick or something like that, and we need to have something, there's some stuff there, and there's enough there to where there's going to be plenty of skin in the game after for them to continue funding their thing. So, figure out what it is, solve the problems. This vehicle for us, or for me, or for us, solved a lot of problems. Okay, from that standpoint, and James and his folks here, the real thing. It was great. We showed up. We didn't know what we're expecting. We're in Alvarado, Texas. It's like,
world headquarters of Bank
World headquarters, y'all. It's a small town, man. If you drive too fast, you're going to go through it, and but it's great down here, and everybody's you're doing it, and it's the real thing, and everything that you've said is the right thing. Just like I say, our family, we who we are is what we show, what we deliver, and we like to over deliver.
Sure.
And that's what you guys are. You guys are like-minded folks, and you guys are who you are. You deliver, you over-delivered, and made us feel super welcome, and really part of the bigger thing. So I've got a lot of future. Hopefully, being able to have some conversations with you.
So. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Well, I think my big thing, again, being very risk adverse, is that, I was raised to believe that this is the way you do it because it's safe, right? And the older I've gotten and the more situations that I've lived through, and, Mike's willingness to learn about different things and different opportunities has made me realize that you need to question everything. Just because something's always been done a certain way, or someone who would love to get a hold of your money is telling you that this is the best way to go because it's what everybody's doing, doesn't make it so. And so question everything. And, if it seems too good to be true, then do some of the research yourself. Again, I was lucky enough to have Mike be able to explain it to me in a way that it just instantly clicked, with all the things that I had been secretly resenting over the years, right? That I couldn't access my money, or that there would, all this money that I worked so hard to earn, just gone overnight. I think my biggest big loss was $70,000, and it was pretty early on in our relationship. So, maybe when I was around 30, and that was a ridiculous amount of money to just lose. And so just if somebody's talking to you about this, take it seriously, do your own research, talk to other people, listen to the podcasts, and, just really come to the realization that, you have to think outside the box, because other people want to manage your money for you because they gain tremendously from it, not because they're altruistic. So just be very conscious about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and making sure that it's genuine and that there's a track record to prove, which obviously there is with this.
That's awesome. Becoming your own banker would be a good place to start. Yeah. In addition to this podcast would be in addition to that. Nothing trumps the Becoming Your Own Banker book by our Nelson Nash. I appreciate that. I remember, we've had I have lovely calls, very good calls with all my clients. The first time or two, or the first or second, maybe even the third conversation, I remember the list. I'm going to go dig it up before y'all leave town to see the list. But this idea, this concept, this actually just dividend paying whole life insurance structured properly, fit into what you're doing, where you're at, and what you want to do. It checked more boxes than what you required at first.
Absolutely.
That's pretty powerful. It's a big deal for me. So, okay. Listen, thank you very much, both of you, for coming down here and sharing your time with us. And I can't wait to get this out and let people listen to it and get to know y'all. I'll put any and every link that you wish on your venues in the show notes, because I've never been to North Carolina. If I go, I'd like to hang out with y'all on one of y'all's properties.
We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's other people that would too, and they got to know where you're at.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Banking with Life podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and click on that little notification bell. Otherwise, join us on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher for weekly content.